Howdy there, how's it going? Greetings from Northern California. For anyone who has been following my travels, who's subscribed to my channel here, then I just spent a month backpacking on the Hawaiian Islands, had a really amazing time. Just flew back a couple of days ago, and I am now staying at my mom's house. I'm in the county where I was raised from when I was 5 to 15. Then I lived with my family in the woods outside of a small town, and then my mom then moved to another town nearby, and she and my stepdad just left on a ironically cruise to Hawaii, and I flew back in time to get here and have the house to myself. So I'm just out on a walk here. I'm on a disc golf course, and so we'll see if there's any interruptions from, because this is the fairway or whatever you call it for the this hole, and so we'll see if anyone else comes along, but it's getting a little bit late, so likely not. And just wanted to say sorry if there's any noise from somebody running a leaf blower nearby. There's always something. So anyways, this video is on the subject of Buddhism, and I'm just going to give my own perspective, my own take on Buddhism in general and what I see as some fundamental flaws of Buddhism and some missing elements. I'm not here to bash Buddhism. I think there is great wisdom in Buddhism, absolutely. I've studied Buddhism to an extent. I'm certainly not an expert by any means, but I was a religious studies major in college, and even before that, then I was doing research on my own, reading the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying and various other Buddhist texts, and I'd been to Buddhist workshops and retreats and whatnot, and my father and my brother both practice Buddhism, and also my aunt. And so one of the reasons that this came up for me is that my aunt just got back, or it was a couple months ago, but she came back from a trip to India in which it was focused on Buddhism, and they went to all of the major sites of the Buddha. So there are 4 main sites that people try to visit as a pilgrimage, and it is the birthplace of the Buddha, where the Buddha gained enlightenment, where the Buddha gave his first sermon, and then where the Buddha died. And there 3 of those spots are in India, and then his birthplace is in Nepal, just over the border from India. And I actually visited that town, Lumbini, on my recent trip last year to Asia. I went to Nepal and India and a few other countries. So I've been to Lumbini, the birthplace of the Buddha, and also outside of Varanasi, the place where the Buddha gave his first sermon is called Sarnath. So my aunt was talking about her trip. She had a really amazing trip there, and she was showing some pictures and telling a few of the lessons and whatnot that she learned. And one thing that she mentioned is that when the Buddha gave his first sermon, then there was a group of people there. I think there was 5 people there, and upon him giving his sermon, then one of those 5 people became enlightened. And then after that, he decided this wasn't good enough. He wanted all of them to become enlightened, and so he asked them to study further and then come back, and he gave another sermon, and with that next sermon, then all of the people there became enlightened. So this kind of leads into my first criticism of Buddhism and of spiritual paths in general. But it is a focus on this concept of enlightenment, as if there is a absolute state of enlightenment versus a state of non-enlightenment, as if either you're enlightened or you aren't enlightened. And yes, of course, this is a simplistic breakdown of the situation, and certainly it is more complex than that, as described within Buddhism. But just that story, if it's true, whatever truth there might be to it, the idea of focusing on, well, I'm here to become enlightened. I'm going to sit here until I'm enlightened. Is there really a fine line of, okay, now you're enlightened, you did it, all right, on to the next level or whatever. Could anyone really ascertain this person is enlightened, this person is not enlightened, etc.? In my view, then enlightenment is a human-derived concept that illustrates a very important thing, which is the human desire for self-improvement, self-evolution, self-understanding, self-realization. And the Buddha absolutely made a tremendous mark on the world in bringing this concept more to humanity, that so many millions and millions of people in their lives have made self-evolution and the quest for enlightenment a priority in their lives as a result of the Buddha's message, as well as others, certainly. But personally, I don't think that there is a ultimate state of enlightenment. Rather, that we are continually evolving. It is a never-ending, infinite journey of soul evolution. And certainly enlightenment captures a general concept of I want to be awake, I want to be spiritually aware and open to the world around me as much as I possibly can be, and to learn the true nature of my soul and realize who I really am and what my real purpose is and all this stuff. But that, I don't see it that, okay, at this moment finally you're enlightened, and then what's next after that, you know? So that's kind of a picky little criticism, but it's just something to consider and think about is you know, is it really about ultimately achieving enlightenment? Can you really say this person is enlightened, this person is not enlightened? No, it is a gradation of different levels of spiritual development and being open to and understanding the true truth of the universe and reality, which has no end, in my view. Who knows? So my next criticism of Buddhism is around the concept of attachment. So it is one of the Four Noble Truths that desire is the cause of all suffering. Now, that word desire can be misinterpreted, misunderstood. What might be better is to think of attachment as being the cause of all suffering. And I absolutely agree with this. That our resistance to the now, to the moment, to what has actually happened, to what we are experiencing, is what creates our suffering. Now, whether or not this is a absolute 100%, it kind of depends on how you look at it, for one thing. First of all, there is a difference between pain and suffering. If somebody chops your arm off, you're going to experience pain, and your mental outlook can certainly affect to some extent how you're going to deal with that, how you're going to experience that. Some people have greater pain thresholds than others. But could there ever be a state of being in which anyone could do anything to you and you just wouldn't care? And that leads into a whole nother realm that kind of goes off on a tangent here, and I don't want to go too far off on that. But no, I don't believe that you could ever be in a state of being in a physical body in which you didn't care whatever happened to you. That this is not the quest, is to achieve some state like that where you have no desire, no preference for hanging out, chatting, and enjoying a drink with some good friends versus being tortured or lost in the ocean, bobbling there with the potential of sharks attacking you or whatever. That anyone could ever truly be in a state of having absolutely no preference. That preference is absolutely a part of our soul. That we want to be happy. We want to be in a state of love. We have desires. And you can't get around that. And so the noble truth of desire is the cause of all suffering can be misunderstood And so let's just look at this concept of attachment. So let's say, for example, that your house burns down. And so this will lead into suffering versus pain. Your house burns down, you lose all of your possessions, you're fine, you weren't there, or you got out and you're not harmed at all. So you're experiencing no immediate pain. So you're standing there, nobody's causing you harm, you're safe, you've just lost all of your stuff. But you are in a state now of emotional, psychological anguish, emotional turmoil because of what has happened, and you find yourself awash with all of these feelings and emotions of grief over losing all these things that you valued and cherished and used in your life, of anger, of why did this happen to me, I didn't deserve this, of fear about your future, and what's going to happen to you now, where are you going to live, how are you going to make a living without the things that you depend on, your car, your bed, your clothes, etc. And so you are in a state of suffering now, and your suffering is because of resistance to what is happening. You wish that hadn't transpired. You have a non-acceptance to that circumstance in your life. So you're in no immediate pain with your situation there. You are, however, in a state of suffering because you are resistant to what has happened, and so you're basically creating this state of emotional anguish and turmoil within yourself as a result of your own response to that situation. Now, I do believe that a truly enlightened, for lack of a better word, person could have that circumstance arise in their life and then move on completely unobstructed with absolute non-resistance to that, just complete acceptance. Okay, this has happened, now what? Now what do I need to do to get my life back in order and just, carry on and not experience that state of emotional, mental, psychological anguish as a result of that situation. However, that does not apply to most of us. Most of us, if we get robbed, if our girlfriend breaks up with us, use your imagination, the various things that can happen in our life that we have resistance to, and despite what has happened, we wish it hadn't happened, we mull it over in our minds, we perhaps spend years thinking about this certain thing and allowing it to cloud our perception and our mental and emotional state of being, and it stirs up our consciousness in a disturbing way and gets in the way of our peace of mind. So here is where you come to a real crossroads on the spiritual path and how exactly you're going to deal with these types of circumstances, whether it's your house burning down or your girlfriend breaking up with you or losing your job or whatever. So somebody who is on a committed spiritual path, when whatever transpires in their life that they didn't want to happen, your house burns down. So you could then tell yourself, you find yourself overwhelmed by all these various emotions and everything, and you could tell yourself, well, I'm a spiritual person. It's all just stuff. It's a principle of Buddhism that everything is temporary anyway. I'm going to lose this stuff eventually. I'm doing fine. I'm not harmed. I still have my family and friends and the people I care about, and they still love me. And it's just a glitch in the path. And so, why bother getting all caught up in all of this stuff going on within me? Just let it go and move forwards and accept what has happened and get on with your life. Forget about it. Just get on with your life. Just move on. And here is the big mistake that people make. The real question here is, what is the truth of your experience? Do you have resistance and attachment around that circumstance? If you do not, then great. You are very evolved and mature and at peace within yourself and maybe enlightened or something along those lines. And so if you can truly just move on and carry on, then awesome, do it. But what are your true feelings? If upon that circumstance you find yourself overwhelmed with various difficult feelings and emotions, then the way to deal with that situation as it has transpired both without and within you is to go deeply within and truly acknowledge the full depth of what this circumstance has brought up within you. Because whatever has been stirred up within you has been stirred up for a reason. And the circumstances in our lives, in this third dimensional realm, the way that things are designed is precisely to stir up the stuff that is denied within us. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of this realm of reality, is that through the law of attraction, the vibration of our being draws to us circumstances in our lives that reflect that vibration of our consciousness. And then give us an opportunity to deal with what is awakened within us as a result of the situation that arose. So if we have denied emotions within us, if we have a lot of denied anger, a lot of denied fears, a lot of denied sadness, etc., then situations are going to arise in our life which trigger those emotions precisely so that they can be awakened and faced within us and dealt with and truly resolved. Because we are not all in a state of supreme, sublime bliss and enlightenment. That is not the state of this planet. There is much turmoil and misunderstanding and denial of the truth of one's being. And the point of these circumstances in our life is to affect our consciousness, our soul, in such a way that it causes us to get in touch with parts of ourselves and then be forced to deal with them one way or another. So to deal with a situation which we have resistance to by telling ourselves that an enlightened person would deal with it such and such a way, and thus trying to deal with it that way, causes us to miss an opportunity to truly learn the lesson of that scenario that has arisen in our life and actually take advantage of it. So rather than simply seeking to move on and tell yourself to accept a certain situation, the way to truly take hold of that circumstance as it has arisen and take advantage of it is actually to go into the full depth of whatever it has brought up within you and completely and totally immerse yourself in that which has arisen within your consciousness.